Whenever I go to an event, a conference, I always do a write-up on my blog afterwards. It's a great way of kind of recapping my thoughts for myself. It gives me something I can refer back to. And whenever anybody asks me, oh, what did you think of whatever it was, I can say, why don't you read my blog post about it? And then they can decide whether it's something that they might like to go and try out for themselves. So I have spent today writing up my review of Expert Empires. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I spent Thursday and Friday there this week. So today is Sunday, so I got back a couple of days ago, and today I've been writing that up, putting it live on the blog for you to read. I will put the link in the show notes for you so you can go and have a look if you would like to. But what I wanted to share with you about this is this fab trick for writing really quickly. Even if you can't stand writing, it's utterly brilliant. So just before I went to Expert Empires, my friend Adam Driver shared on LinkedIn that the voice transcription on Google Docs was really good. And I hadn't had a chance to try it. And this morning I was lying in bed and I was thinking about what I wanted to write. And I came up with the first main section of it in my head. And I don't know if you're like me, but you come up with things in your head and you're like, yeah, that's brilliant. And you'll replay it in your head a few times, try and remember it. And you're like, I must write that down. I must write that down. And then things happen. So my children kept talking to me and we had to go to swimming and all of these sorts of things. And I was like, I must write this down. Anyway, so I thought, I could try the voice transcription. So I went and found it in the tools section, and it is brilliant. I wrote 500 words, a bit more than 500 words, I think, in less than 10 minutes because I was just able to say this thing that I'd come up with in my head this morning while I was in bed. I just sort of talked it out. And then I was able to go back and just go through and sort of tidy it up for myself. And it was a really handy thing to do because I had pages and pages and pages of notes. Typing everything up would have taken quite a long time, but because I was able to talk it through, I could just read it out from my notes and just make sure that I had the cursor in the right place. So if you want a really good tip for how to write quickly and get a thought out of your head, then I highly recommend doing that. I do have a bit of an advantage because when I was a journalist, one of the things that you had to do in the days before smartphones, because I am that old, was you sometimes had to dictate copy over the phone. So if you'd been to court or you'd been to a council meeting and they needed to get it in the paper before you could get back to the office in time to type it up yourself, you would phone in and you would tell them what you wanted to say over the phone. So I do have a bit of an advantage of trying to think of my way through a story and map it out in my head and have key quotes and things. So that is definitely an advantage from my point of view. But I honestly think that if you don't like writing or you want a quick way of getting some things down, then this is a really useful tool for you to use. So I'd love it if you went and read my blog post, or if you would like to hear more about Expert Empires but you're not a fan of reading, then go and check out the video that I recorded yesterday. I'm quite new to YouTube, but I believe there's some clever way in which I can link the videos, so I will see whether I can do that. I might be asking a friend for some help with that, but if I can't link it, then again I will put the link to that in the show notes for you. So do you have any great tips that make writing easier? I would love to hear them. If you were at Expert Empires and want to share with me what you took away from it, what you loved, then again I would love to hear from you. Please let me know in the comments, and I shall see you on the next video.